You check under the bed and make sure there's no Disney executives under there.
Oh, not again.
Yeah, only this time, it wasn't just me. They were taking all my favorite people and replacing them with diverse women complaining about the patriarch.
So Snow White slept and waited for her prince to come, but he never did. Because a woman shouldn't have to depend on a man. Snow White was brought back to life by a lady doctor.
And she lived happily ever after?
Well, she couldn't indulge in strenuous activities like handball, but otherwise, she was fine.
That's nice.
Nothing has brought me greater joy than watching the Walt Disney Company absolutely panic over the last few weeks. They're mad at South Park because they're making fun of their woke ideologies, constantly race swapping or religion swapping everything in their movies.
It's a brand new exclusive event with all your favorite South Park characters.
Dude, school is going to be so awesome today.
I had explosive diarrhea all night.
I like big boobs. Oh, hamburgers.
How does this even make any sense?
It makes perfect sense. I think the problem is you.
What an idiot I've been as a young person in this industry who has no filter and no idea what she's doing.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business.
Yeah. Weird.
I did not like Snow White. The reason why is that the actress that plays Snow White, she acts like a bitch all the time.
Weird. Every time she speaks, she gets less likable. There's some clip of her on the internet in her Snow White outfit saying, "Every hour I am in the outfit of Snow White wearing the dress. All 18 hours, I deserve to be paid for every single one." Oh, really? Are you having trouble paying your bills, Rachel? Did Steven Spielberg not pay you for your role in West Side Story? Did Disney fail to give you a healthy paycheck for, like, cry me a river? She's just exactly everything that we can't stand.
I'm gonna stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is.
Particularly see people who, look like me or are me playing roles like that. So it was definitely when it got announced.
White!
He wasn't a stalker, by the way.
Thing that was like trending on Twitter for days because all of the people were angry.
I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
37, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Say it louder so your other eye can hear you.
So we didn't do that this time.
Once upon a time, Disney thought they had a guaranteed hit, a live-action Snow White remake. Big budget, beloved story, built-in fan base. What could go wrong, right? Well, everything. Today, we're breaking down how a $200 million dream project collapsed into one of Hollywood's biggest disasters and what it says about the future of entertainment. At the center of it all, Rachel Zegler. Talented? Sure. Charismatic? Depends who you ask. But one thing's undeniable, she couldn't stop alienating the audience. Instead of embracing the classic fairy tale, she called the original story outdated, mocked the prince character, and even labeled fans problematic. Imagine insulting your own ticket buyers and expecting them to show up anyway.
They're remaking the movie. They just got rid of the dwarves. Okay,
but what do they call them?
Why would they get rid of the dwarves, though?
Magical
creatures. But they have one token dwarf amongst these magical creatures. You actually just went backwards. You actually just erased the dwarfism side of it. The disability, like we're a disability group. You just erased that whole image. The argument should have been from Peter Dinklage. There's power of being on TV. There's power of television. And to put 7 people with dwarfism on camera in a major Disney movie, there's still power there. If the story is offensive, change the story. Don't change the characters.
This is no ordinary apple, my dear. It's a magic wishing apple. A wishing apple? You offer it to me freely. In place of the patriarchy, you would have a queen! Not white, but diverse, inclusive, and equitable! I will become the leader I know I can be! All shall love me and despair!
Oh, what has she done to you? Fear not. First love's kiss can break any curse.
Cultural heavyweights like Joe Rogan and Bill Maher piled on. They pointed out what Disney seemed blind to. Audiences don't buy movie tickets to be lectured. They want to be swept away, not scolded. But every time Zegler opened her mouth, it wasn't magic, it was another PR nightmare. And then came the 7 dwarfs, or the lack of them. In the original, they were the heart of the story, full of charm, humor, and personality. Disney could have honored that legacy. Instead, they erased them.
Rachel is literally the star of a Disney movie, and she acts like she's some sort of victim, and that's the sort of mentality that is just poisoning people's minds. Like, she acts like her life is so bad.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
You know the saying, go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million in China.
After Peter Dinklage complained, Disney panicked and replaced the dwarfs with a bizarre group of CGI magical creatures. Fans took one look and said, no thanks. This wasn't just about visuals, it was about opportunity. Little person actors desperately wanted those roles designed for them. But Disney decided being woke was more important than giving real people real jobs. The community spoke out, furious, but by then it was too late. It all started with a few leaked set photos. Fans expected to see a modern but respectful update of the 7 dwarfs, maybe clever redesigns or character expansions. Instead, what they got were images that looked weird, really weird. A mismatched crew of random magical creatures, some tall, some short, some dressed like they wandered out of a college Halloween party. It wasn't charming, it wasn't nostalgic, it wasn't even visually appealing. It looked cheap. The backlash was immediate. Memes exploded across Twitter and Reddit. Commentators joked it looked like Disney had outsourced the designs to the creators of a low-budget fantasy TV show. Instead of building excitement, the leaks cemented a new reality. This wasn't Snow White anymore. This was something unrecognizable. And fans, the ones Disney needed most, turned away in droves before the movie even hit theaters. Opening weekend should have been a celebration. Instead, it became a public execution. Disney had poured over $200 million into making and marketing Snow White. They expected a massive return, at least $150 million in the first few days. After all, this was Snow White, a crown jewel of the Disney vault. But when the numbers came in, they were catastrophic. The film barely scraped together $43 million, not just disappointing, historically bad for a Disney remake. Entire theater chains reported empty showings. Merchandise sat untouched, gathering dust on store shelves. Snow White dolls, popcorn buckets, tie-in toys, all dead on arrival. Even worse, many who actually went to see the film walked out halfway through, furious. Online reviews hammered the movie for feeling hostile to the original audience, not a love letter, but a finger wagging in their faces. And once that word of mouth kicked in, there was no saving it. Disney had lost the room. Behind closed doors, Disney executives weren't just nervous, they were in full-blown panic. Whispers from inside the studio said the team was blindsided by the size of the backlash. They had believed Rachel Zegler could win people over. They thought modernizing the story would expand the audience. They were wrong. Once trouble started brewing, the studio scrambled. They poured millions into emergency reshoots, trying to fix the film without admitting anything was wrong. They hired special media consultants to babysit Zegler's interviews and tweets, desperately trying to spin the narrative. At one point, they even scripted her social media posts, trying to make her seem more relatable and excited for the movie. But it didn't matter. Every interview, every appearance, every viral clip made things worse. Zegler kept doubling down on the anti-fairytale rhetoric, dismissing the original fans as outdated. Instead of softening her image, the studio watched in horror as she set off PR landmine after PR landmine. At Disney, insiders reportedly called it the Snow White debacle, a train wreck they were powerless to stop. March 25th, 2025, the moment Rachel Zegler decided to face the music and see her own movie on the big screen. She rounded up a few loyal friends, Illa Mason, Jorge Mason, Remy, and Maria Isabel de Mason. They walked into the theater and instantly realized it was bad. Really bad. Rows of empty seats, an eerie silence. It didn't feel like a movie premiere, it felt like a wake. Still, they tried to put on a brave face. As Rachel's name appeared on the screen, Illa cheered loudly. Zegler. They laughed awkwardly, trying to mask the embarrassment. They even jumped on a TikTok trend, walking up to a Regal employee and asking where everyone was. It was painfully awkward, the kind of moment you watch through your fingers because it's just too cringy. The truth was impossible to ignore. No one showed up. Not even on Discount Tuesday. Theaters that once packed in crowds for Disney classics now sat empty, haunted by the ghost of what could have been. The Snow White collapse isn't just a one-off failure, it's part of a growing pattern. Lightyear, Strange World, The Marvels, now Snow White, one flop after another, each carrying the same message from audiences. We're done being talked down to. Disney spent decades building a brand on magic, wonder, and timeless storytelling. But somewhere along the line, they started believing messaging mattered more than magic. And now that mistake is costing them in dollars, in reputation, and in loyalty. Investors are furious, executives are panicking, rumors swirl about layoffs and major leadership shakeups. And the scariest part for Disney, the trust they lost might never fully come back. Audiences don't forget when you treat them like the enemy. They find new heroes, new stories, new places to dream, and unless Disney relearns the lessons that built its empire, its golden age might already be slipping away. Not with a bang, but with a slow, embarrassing fade into irrelevance.